I can see you here. I will come for you. Worry not, my love. Flee this place you call home. Come find me and rejoice. My poor child, I would never abandon you as this one has. You know this to be true, and in time, so shall he, along with all the others afraid to accept my gift. Do not despair. Rejoice that you are nearly home. I am like gravity, my love. I am an unseen force attracting all lesser minds towards me. My mind and my will shall always attract yours. I can see you here. I will come for you. Worry not, my love.
The Fall of the Ancients is an epic narrative campaign for Hexplored, the Forests of Adramon, where you can explore the Greenflame Forest as you desire, to create your own unique story. In this open-world adventure, with over 300,000 words and 1,000 passages to read, your choices determine your fate. You will meet dozens of NPCs and decide whom to assist and trust. Nearly 100 locations await you, including the verdant beauty of the great trees, the once proud elven cities, now dangerously infested with enthralled citizens, and the rotting lands of a forest corrupted by an evil force beyond even Adramon's control. Wherever you go, whatever you choose, the fate of the Greenflame is in your hands.
Do not believe these lies, my child. Your fate is in my hands.
Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, or evening, depending on where we all are.
Good time zone.
Yes, so we are here to basically celebrate with one another the launch of our product, the Fall of the Ancients. Thank you for being here today. we'll give it a minute just to make sure everybody can hear us okay. So
hopefully.
Yeah. So James and Frank are here with me this morning. You know Frank very well from the commenting, the dude who is so on top of things when it comes to being communicative with all of us. So let us know if you can hear us, and we can kind of get started.
Audio is good. Thank you, Keith.
Right. Excellent.
Sounds like we're good to go.
Okay. Well, holy cow. What an amazing campaign this has been, huh?
Well, I can't believe it. It's been so fun.
Frank, what do you think? James?
It's been one of the best. The community is just fantastic. It's very supportive. Couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The positivity that we've seen in this campaign has just been so, refreshing and keeps us really excited to continue to work on these things.
The creativeness too of some of the suggestions that we've gotten for some of our stretch goals and for some of the responses to the stories that we've been posting, that the community has chosen the path, and there's a lot of insight into those choices that were being made. So I love seeing that.
Absolutely. Yeah, the storyline choices that we had used as the GameFound poll system that they have embedded in GameFound was really kind of organic, and we thought, man, this narrative campaign for the GameFound side of things would be really cool if we could actually engage the community in a more coherent way, and so that's kind of how that storyline idea came up, and I think everybody enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed writing it, and
they didn't enjoy all the decisions and the directions that it went, but such is life.
Sometimes it's hard too, because you want your decision to get picked, and so many times we had offered several different decisions, and
we had the option to obey Adramon, and we didn't take it.
We didn't take it. Maybe next time, right? Oh, I think Adramon has something to say to us. So.
You will find it rewarding to obey me.
So apparently we'll find it rewarding to obey her. I don't know. We'll have to see, right? So thanks again for everybody being here. We're just going to kind of hang around, answer questions, just kind of go over the product with you a little bit. I've got some screens that we can kind of share with you, show you a little bit more of the world that we have planned, and so that'll be a lot of fun to get kind of that firsthand look of that. So. What else? Looks like we have a couple of comments here. Thank you, Christian. We think the same of our backers, obviously. We're here because of you guys and gals, and we are just so thankful that you're entrusting us as a small company to make this stuff happen. So...
To be fair, I know that when the campaign mode first came out, the idea for the campaign mode is over 3 years old, and at the time that the campaign mode was conceived, I know narrative games were very big on the crowdfunding sites, and everyone wants a narrative game of some sort, and I recall, even before you mentioned that you wanted to do a campaign mode, how Hexplorer already has so many seeds of plot lines and side quests and adventures. The seeds are right there. And wow, wouldn't it be awesome to be able to water those in some way, to be able to experience some of them? And I liked that about Hexplored. It let me tell my own story when I played the game. And then you came up with campaign mode, and now it was time to actually dig into those stories, which was great.
Yeah, totally. And you know, James, you were a huge part of getting our game turn sequence figured out. In fact, the whole restore moment and the way of using the power-up deck as our timing mechanism was your idea, and it really fits so well into the game, because there's this push and pull when you're playing the game of, do I take this power-up, you know, from my timer deck? It's in order to gain power from my hero, I have to make these decisions as to, am I taking the card out, or am I going to leave it in there and get more time from it?
You know, I approach this from the eyes of a dungeon master, actually, a game master, since I've been playing tabletop RPGs for 30 years now. And one of the elements of gameplay that you're concerned about as a game master is risk versus reward. You want your players to have difficult decisions to make. You want them to argue with each other about what to do, risk versus reward. And that was the best way I could think of to get that element of discussion and frustration with your fellow players. Yeah. Do we do this or not? And I think it works well.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello everybody. Thanks for leaving the comments there. Thanks for beautiful campaign page ever. Oh my gosh, thank you. That means a lot. I actually do all of the graphics. I don't illustrate anything, but I basically take all of our illustrations and get it put into the page. And boy, does that take a lot of time. I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. And at one point, I was going to do a animated version of the big, long, tall. Let me see. This guy right here. I was going to do an animated version of that. And because it goes all the way down here through the fox, so this whole thing would have been animated. And I had it done, and I was like, I don't think, because that's going to load, it's going to take a really long time to load. And then all my luck would be to have this just gigantic, like, white spot on the first part of the page. So I ended up not using the animated version, but it
probably
would
a
have
good call.
Yeah, it would have looked like kind of cool, because you're looking inside of a window of a real world, and it's actually kind of moving with that. So, but yeah, thank you for that. Campaign full of surprises. Metal 4K, yes, thank you.
Some of those.
Go ahead.
Well, some of those surprises came from the backers too. Some of those surprises with discussion of the mats, first things with the neoprene mats, and then what are some other potential stretch goals that might be interested in, since we are growing and growing. So a lot of that addition was from the backers.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. I really like this comment here.
I know.
Can we have 30 minutes or so of Adramon telling nice, uplifting things? Yeah, I think she has a few things to say.
Fate's arrow has both a beginning and an end.
So we were lucky enough to, partner to get some of this voice audio done, and that was such a treat to be able to add that into our video. And we're actually looking at it, also adding that into our app. So when you have Force of Adramon on your app, when you have a hero that you're playing, there will be a toggle for music, and you can turn that on or off. And the idea is that every so often, while you have the toggle turned on, Adramon will speak to you. So that'll be a fun little Easter egg for people to find.
I wonder how the voice actress is going to find that. That's going to be interesting. She did so good.
Yeah, totally. Yes. All right. So why don't we share some other stuff to look at, shall we? Let's take a look. So everybody has said they really enjoy the neoprene mat, and so I kind of want to look at it up close, so that you all can kind of take a look to see, just everything that we've put in. So obviously you've seen the images from out far. We have a spot for you to place your relics, a spot for the fragments, and then of course your timer deck, which we've already kind of spoken about. We also have this game turn sequence here at the bottom, which shows basically how to run your game turns. Just a nice handy little reminder.
Always useful.
Yep. So let's zoom in a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about, let's talk about the Acropolis first. So the Acropolis is a miniature that comes with Forest of Adramon, the core box. And you'll be actually placing this miniature right on your playmat. And the playmat is also it is also designed as a one-to-one copy of your game board. So if you wanted to have a 3D feel, you could place your game boards, right on top of this. So yeah.
And Elwyn's Grove would be handy to place on the Elwyn's Grove to show when it's open and closed, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So Elwyn's Grove in this game, we have this hex tile that is kind of set apart from the rest of the map. And it's done in a way on purpose, because Elwyn's Grove is actually in the Wildlands. It's in the Fey realm. Apart from the physical realm that our heroes are going to be, tramping around in and trying to get their quests fulfilled. And so when the Grove is open, when the portals are open, then the hex tile will be map side up, and that way you as a player will know that you can go into Elwyn's Grove. But the magic of that place is such that Elwyn has closed the borders at certain points in the story because of certain things, happening. And so in that case, you would flip this tile over to its backside, and it does not contain a map on that side. And then that will be basically showing that you cannot travel to the Grove at that point.
I was also thinking the map here. You could play a straight Hexplore game on the map as well. I mean,
Absolutely.
everything would be out and about, so no trail maps and the like. But I think that might be fun just to play on that without too much of a cleanup.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that we didn't, that was one thing that the community had asked for was, could we create a neoprene version of this that included just the core game instead of the campaign mode? And we decided not to, only because we don't use the bars in this particular version of the game. And when you put the bars out onto the board, then that actually complicates things just a little bit. It doesn't actually fit the setup, but you could still totally, use the game mat as a core box run through. That's of course no problem. So look like we have some questions here.
Plan to do a volume with the map covered in snow. I think that would be certainly neat from an aesthetic standpoint. I know Legends of Galzir, there's another game that does actually have a snowy side, a winter side, and a summer side on a game like this. But I don't know. Any map alterations? I don't even know if we've discussed alternate map seasons for this.
Yeah, we haven't. Not at least for this project. We are talking about for Mountains of G'dai. We are going to have the map as two double-sided. So on one side of each tile, you'll have this Japanese themed mountainous area, and then on the other side of the map, we're going to be adding the Mesoamerican theme, which is kind
the
of
surprise
more
Mountains
tropical.
of Gadai spoilers. All right.
Yeah, and we do have that on our website. So thankfully, it's. But hopefully, those of you watching, that's exciting for you. I'm excited for it. We have so much planned for mountains, but that's we'll reserve that for another day.
And the two sides are really definitely different in appearance. I mean, you're going to know you're in Japan or Mesoamerica.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so the ambient music on repeat. Very excited with Foreteller. Yeah, we are too. That actually came up pretty late in the campaign.
Yep.
I had reached out after again community engagement and asking about Foreteller and being able to have Foreteller become a partner to actually speak all of the narration in the book. And unfortunately, that's not necessarily something we can afford, not at this point. But through discussions with them, they were very excited about the prospect of helping us create that soundtrack. So I do think that's going to be quite an amazing, addition to the game. All right, so let's go ahead and look a little bit about, do you guys want to see how we kind of approach designing the game? We can kind of talk a little bit about that. Let's see, we can also take a look at, a finished section. We finished the battle site section of the book, so you can take a nice look at that, and then Frank, you're going to be playing the prequel in Australia. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We got 5 volunteers, and we're going to charge in there and see how it works.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, take the place over, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Okay, so why don't we take a look at let's take a look at all the destinations, you guys, that we've kind of planned. So,
which is even missing 1 or 2.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's missing I think 6.
Oh wow.
That we've placed. I know we've got one here. Right there. Order of the Circle. That's the one you're working on.
We're designing as we go.
We've added one here. I'm sure there are more, but that's neither here nor there. So all of these destinations will become available to you, not all, but some of these destinations will become available to you as you play the game. So for instance, you might go to, let's say you go to the waypost of Solen, this nice sanctuary away from Adramon's Mind Wiped. You might talk with some people at an inn there, and they may give you, 2 or 3 of these destinations on the board. And then these are optional places for your heroes to travel to. And then obviously if you go to one of these locations, then you will have a narrative experience that is triggered from it. Complete with decisions that you would make, complete with possible opponents you might face, or different challenges that could make things difficult for you.
Yeah, and depending how you play the campaign, you may never even get to that waypost in an entire campaign,
right?
And you may have to visit it again some other time. It's amazing how many things that you probably will not see.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely. Gosh. Like all of this, it boggles my mind that we've spent quite a bit of time fleshing out each of these decisions and destinations, narrative experiences in the game, and none of them are 100% guaranteed that you're going to find them. Some have a high percentage because they tie to the story in a very direct way, and some don't have anything to do with the main story and might actually pull you off the main story at certain points, which is kind of a fun way of doing side quests and doing different things that you may not have anticipated for your game. But yeah, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Sure, I just wanted to point out that we actually do have our planned family mode as well, which because some people just want to experience as many different things as you can. Like if you start a game of Skyrim, if you just follow the main quest along, you're not seeing even a fraction of what you can in that particular game. Some people want to just spend as much time as they want in the forest, and we've built in a way to do that kind of backs away all the restrictions that happen with the fate cycle if you don't pursue the main quest in time, and really allow you to just experience the story at your own will. So
yeah, absolutely. That's kind of a fun way to explore the game because, like you said, it takes some of the pressure off, and it will allow players to kind of get into the rhythm of what's happening in the game without feeling like, oh my gosh, I messed up the entire thing, and and really, I don't think we've really built the campaign in a way to make it feel like an end experience is a bad experience. Even the experiences I would venture to say where Adramon gets a hold of our heroes, I feel like even those are rewarding to read, even though it's an end situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's it's a realization of all of your actions, a realization of all of your decisions, and whether it comes earlier than you thought or whether that was exactly what you thought was going to happen. Like, I think we're going to go down this path but I must know.
Yeah.
Whether or not that occurs, I certainly think that it will all be satisfactory and it will have been earned. It will have been deserved.
Yeah.
That's the hope, at least.
Yeah, deserved. That's a fun way of it's
earned,
like
earned, deserved. Yeah, like some decisions. We try to have it where the decisions that you're going to make are known decisions. Not like you get to a path in the road. You can go left or go right. Which way do you choose? Well, it doesn't matter which way you choose because you've been given no way to deduce which path gives you what you want. So your choice is arbitrary. We very much don't like that in this story. There are no arbitrary decisions. Whatever you decide, it's because you truly believed that would give you what you wanted. Will it give you what you want all the time? No, it may have been an incorrect assumption for some reason, but every decision will be important. Yeah.
And I think that's part of the fun is, looking at this from the lens of your own hero and being able to create a unique hero that is reacting to the story, or the story is reacting to that hero. Our heroic moments are such a great way of making it feel like each hero has their time to shine. And we have so many heroic moments planned. It's pretty crazy. I think the number is over 360, and I think in all of those, I think it's like thousands of heroes are part of those heroic moments.
And we have some comments. The first one I saw was from Arkender. Yeah, that's what we wanted it for. Actually, my wife encouraged it because she's the kind of person who wants to just not feel pressure and experience a story. She's like, "Can't we do that? Can you do that with Explore It?" Yeah, I can. I'm writing the thing. Hey, let's see what we could do. And yeah, I think people would want that. So
yeah, Yeah, it does add a good value to replayability too, and there are some moments in the game. Sorry to interrupt. There are some moments in the game that are more adult themed in the way that deals with death or mind wiping. So we did leave the age at 14 and above, but there's nothing beyond that contained within these books that could be cumbersome or bad for children. So
yeah. Nothing that you wouldn't read in Wings of Fire or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
But Christian has a comment about the Overland part being so well made and loving the dungeon delving. Will the dungeon delving be improved or expanded in the future?
Yeah.
Jonathan, I know I was just thinking, depends on the definition of dungeon delving, because when you are dungeon delving narratively, you can stick around for a while, and some of the narratives can be a little bit long. Some of them are very short. Some of them you have one decision to make, or one or two, you're off and you're out 5 minutes of reading tops. Some of them can and will be detailed decisions working around a single narrative. If that's what you're talking about with dungeon delving, I believe we have a good variety of intensive ones and short ones and prominent ones that will constantly be found, or hidden ones that will be difficult to find. I think we have a lot.
Yeah. I think so too. There's a good mixture. And I'm kind of sharing on my screen now a very early version of our plot. The way we manage the creation of the story, and so kind of what we're looking at here is let me see if I'll do one that's maybe not necessarily gonna give you any spoilers, but the whole idea is that we come up with some ideas, where the story might go, and we begin to map that out on Miro, which is a web-based application to help consolidate data and to kind of make things a little bit easier managing all this stuff. So we kind of scope it out here, and then once that is kind of scoped out and we have kind of a good skeleton, then we move on to the actual building of the narrative that goes with it and all the choices. And as you can see, we have tons. I'm just going to kind of show you from a large standpoint here, tons of different narratives that we've written. And in fact, we got to a point where using this wasn't necessarily as useful to us. So in the beginning, before we had anything written, we were putting down all of our ideas here. But there was like a tipping point, right? Like when we were kind of writing this, and Frank, we kind of got to a point where we're like, well, let's just continue to work inside of our Word document now. We kind of know all the things that are going on, and so we do use this still, but
Oh yeah. So it looks like first things first for the simpler question. Simpler question was, if we don't back the campaign now, is this available to purchase somewhere else? Currently, this campaign is the only time that you're going to be able to get this book. We anticipate being able to have it again when the campaign for Mountains of Gadai Volume 5 comes out, but that's not a guarantee right now because we haven't made the campaign. So, any additions to that, Jonathan?
Yeah, no, I think that's all true. The main thing to note is that we're a small company, and we don't necessarily order gigantic quantities of these games. And so really when we're able to do a reprint, then obviously we are able to offer more product in the future. But as it stands, we just kind of are purchasing what we can afford to with the campaign. So it's really highly advised that if you like what you see, you won't get better pricing than the prices on GameFound. The amount of discounting that is on those pages or on those campaigns is just unparalleled. And a lot of our product doesn't necessarily go to retail just because the quantities that we're ordering, they're prohibitive to us to be able to do that.
The other question that Christian was mentioning about the dungeon delving was actually the dungeon concept from Domain.
Oh, from Domain,
if
yeah.
We're planning on expanding that. We're not using that concept here, although clearly should, and if we get to a Domain campaign, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't. As for whether or not we're utilizing that concept in Mountains of Kadai, Jonathan, can we give a definitive answer on that?
I don't think we don't have any plans on bringing Domain's dungeon into Mountains of Kadai, but we do have the ability for you to cross platform your content. So if you want to bring Domain's dungeon into any other game that you're playing in the Hexplored series, you totally can do that. And we present rules on how to implement that on our downloads page on our website. So you'll be able to add things like mutations if you want to bring, blood magic, into your games. If you want to have caravan journeys and you're not playing Sands, like you can do all of those things because this is really built to be more of a toolbox for you. And sky's the limit.
Will there be learn to play or tutorial first games made for the series? Because it's difficult to get into at times.
Yeah, so that's another fun announcement that I can make now, which I haven't announced yet. But we are going to be building Tabletop Simulator, Explore It for Tabletop Simulator. All of our volumes will have a module where you can go to Tabletop Simulator and actually learn how to play through that application. And it is desktop, only, but it will bring, I think, hopefully more people into the fold because you'll be able to actually see how to set up the map and how to kind of get started. I'm not sure on timing on that. We just started kind of talks on making that happen. So we'll see.
All right. Plans for the Android app, enhancements or improvements?
Yeah, that's a fun one too. So we are currently working on a card handling system in the app, and when it's done, you'll be able to, based on the game that you're playing in the app, you'll be able to select a deck of cards, like the power-up deck, or the encounter deck, or the blood magic deck, or XYZ, any kind of deck that we're going to be releasing, and draw a random card, or shuffle it, or look at your hand. You'll be able to, in the app, you'll be able to draw the initial cards that are shown on your bar. So let's say you have 5 quest cards out on the table and you're playing Valley, then you can draw 5 quest cards and actually have it show up in the app. Now, that's not for everybody, but for the ability to specifically power-up cards, you'll be able to draw a random power-up and apply it to your hero right inside the app, and your stats will automatically go up based on the card that you've drawn. So we're putting in a lot of time and effort into that, and we're hoping that's going to be out by the end of this year.
All right. So that was that one. And How many hours of gameplay does the base game provide?
Woo! Oh my gosh. I don't know. I can't say endless, because that is kind of a cop-out answer. Because obviously, you can play something and have it be fun, over and over again, only for so long. But I do feel like the amount of options that we've put into these games, and all of the cards, like you were saying, James, before about the seeds, and the storylines are all kind of in these seeds on the cards. Your story will always unfold in a different way, and so we've really enjoyed hearing from all of you that no two games are ever the same because of that.
Yeah.
And so it does help the replayability quite a bit.
Yeah, I just showed you yesterday, Jonathan. I'm playing a Domain of Merzonactus game right now with my wife. It's sitting on our table right now because we played for 3 hours, and we were like, all right, it's dinner time. We've got to save it for tomorrow. So it's really difficult to say how much time the core game can give you per game. We're looking to a couple hours.
Yeah.
This campaign, what this is going to give you, I can't even begin to guess. We have not yet play tested the full campaign to test the longevity of it. We know essentially how long certain quest lines will take. We have good estimations of that. How long it will take to go from the very beginning of the game to the most common ending that we're anticipating, we don't yet know. And I don't want to estimate that.
Yeah, that's something that's hard to estimate. You were going to say, Frank?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I was monitoring GameFound, and hopefully I'm not repeating what you guys just said. But even with the board game, there are so many modes, especially with the expansions, that you can play the base game many, many times, and then all of a sudden you can be one versus many or different modes that are available that totally change the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's always the option too of playing multiple games at once. So you can combine the maps. I've done a couple of videos on that. The one that I'm thinking of is I did a Forest of Adramon and Valley of the Dead King playthrough, which I had a ton of fun filming that. And so you can find that on our YouTube page. I'll put a link in the description of the video below. But that was a lot of fun. And it came down to the wire on that one too, if I remember correctly. So should we look at maybe one more question, and then let's look at some of the content?
Sure. So this is going to be the next question that we're going to take here before we go into the specific content that we have. And that was our art direction. So our approach on our art direction, which is a great question. I'm sure a lot of people want to know because Jonathan has found some great artists.
Yeah, thank you. We're lucky enough to be partnered with a ton of awesome, talented people. And in fact, why don't we can look at that. I have this planned to kind of show you guys how we go from, sketching to like final product. And basically what ends up happening is once I have randomized our chapter passages, then I mock it up in InDesign, and I get it ready for the final look inside the book. And at that point, that's when I find the gaps in the narrative and the campaign layout, and then those will eventually become images. So what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll find chapter passages that might be a really good candidate for an image, and then we'll go through and I'll tell our I'll give our artists, whoever we're assigning this particular image to, I'll give them feedback on what the size of the image is going to be, what is going to be contained in the image, and then it basically becomes a sketch. From the sketch, we then give them some feedback on what things we might like changed. And then from there, then it gets, the color layers kind of put together until we kind of get to a finalized product. And it usually takes a couple of weeks for a set of, let's say, 10 images to be done. It does take a good amount of time for us to kind of lock in on what we're looking for. And so this is just kind of giving you, a cool idea of how the images all kind of come to be. So let's see. Should we move on to actually looking at the product?
Yeah, let's look at that, and when we look at it, we can actually answer Arkender's question of the dimension of the campaign screens.
Oh yeah, okay. Campaign screens are 33 inches wide by 8.5 tall. So they're a landscape sheet of paper folded in three, side by side.
Yep.
Okay, let's look at.
And they're pretty sturdy. They're pretty sturdy constructions too.
Yes. So I think they're the same thickness as your game map. So that thick, nice cardboard there. All right. Let's see. Just looking at other questions here. Art directions really. Thank you guys. Artists are fantastic. Thank you.
Any plans to do more split party? I just answered that right now, not in this, but in the Sands campaign, I imagine we're going to use it.
Yeah, I think we might in the Sands campaign. We just began scoping that one out this week, so we'll kind of see how that goes. But we definitely have our hands full to finish up, this set of product here, and so we won't be moving on to Sands until just yet. But yeah, so this is kind of how our campaign comes together, and we've kind of shown you in the past, what the different layout looks like. For instance, the campaign numbers, these chapter passages, they have the prefix that begins in the section that they appear in. So this particular section is section 5, battle sites. And so this 5010 is the 10th chapter passage in this section. And so at certain points in the story, you'll read something that says, hey, go read 5010. Okay, then you go to find this and then you read it. The blue text boxes, that's going to be narrative that is read to your group. And then yellow boxes are heroic moments that only pertain to certain heroes in the group. And these will often unlock special things that happen in the story that only is specific to those heroes. So for instance, this is a healer heroic moment. This one down here is a striker, den troll, or ogrekin heroic moment. So you may find certain things get unlocked for you as you play the game. Then obviously we have a number of choices that your heroes will begin to gain access to and be able to choose, and those choices are shown in green. So you'll be able to kind of see that there. All the other rule based items, they are not contained in a text box, and they just are at the bottom of your narrative. Okay, so any other questions? How are things going on chat?
Looking good. Someone asked what 2 bags of dice they needed to buy for the for trying to get in the campaign. I wasn't too sure what that was, but I did just confirm that all the dice that you need are in the core box. Anything else is a cosmetic nicety to have, and and being useful.
Absolutely, especially the most useful ones are the stat dice and the hex dice for the campaign mode. The fate dice probably are a nice third option.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you click on the hashtag dice in the keywords in GameFound, you can get some good discussions.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have 15 minutes left. So what we'll do is I'm going to shift to showing off our InDesign file a little bit, just because it is a spoiler, and you guys, we could maybe look at the Word file too. So yeah, let me change my screen here. Okay, can you guys see the... Yeah, I think you can. Our Word file. So this is actually where we have spent most of our time. Our last year and a half building this document has been in this Word file. And James and I and Frank, the three of us are in it daily, and we basically are building this to be the most epic campaign it can be. We are so excited about where it's at, and each of these are in kind of a state of completion or flux, and I think we're about 92% done writing. We have a big piece that is ending up, done here shortly. But check out all these heroic moments, you guys. So this is let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. But this shows how many heroic moments we've built in. We have, we're up to 102 on this page. We get down to 209, and then down all the way to the bottom, 362. And we have, a lot of these are for multiple types of heroes. So, we're counting how many do Floromancers receive? How many do Strikers receive? And we're looking at it very closely to make sure that no one type or subtype has more than the rest. We kind of do our diligence in each section of the book where we count all of that, and then we decide if there's something that's lacking that we need to add.
Now,
so then,
should also...
Yeah, go ahead.
It should also be noted that if you play a Hexclusive race, because they count as two separate types, possibly Striker and Assist, they're going to get all the Striker heroic moments and all the Assist heroic moments. So if you are doing a solo run with a one true solo hero, try to get a Hexclusive race is my suggestion, because you'll get much more heroic moments for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Anymore. All right.
Okay, so this is basically just showing you all of our chapter passages just for this section. So this is section 2, and we have 223 chapter passages just for this particular piece. And so once we're kind of done with that, I go ahead and I randomize it, and then we begin to kind of make it ready for the book. And like I kind of have said before, once it's randomized, then I can kind of see where all of the pieces go. And so if you kind of take a look here, this is giving you a kind of look at what that 2001 passage we were just looking at in the Word document, how that looks in the final book. So there's a lot of pieces that kind of goes along with building this stuff, and boy, has it been just awesome to do this for everybody. And I for one had no idea that we would have as much success as we all have had as a community for this particular project. It's been so very uplifting.
Yeah. Well, we originally, I remember when we discussed if we even should do a campaign for this, because, conceptually it is an expansion, but it was just such a unique expansion, and your response to Click's madness and the great suggestions on how to improve it, because it was a good product that could be improved. We realized that this was something that the community really wanted, and I think we underestimated how much.
Yes, absolutely. I was very worried. And Frank, I don't know if have you had this kind of feeling too, but I was very worried that we were going too far into the narrative and diving too deeply into this kind of immersion with Clicks, at least, and then when that became so well received, and boy, the amount of feedback was just awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of love there, and it just you feel like you're jumping down onto the map tiles, and you're in that world when you start talking to the people that had once been just cards and names on cards, and now you're actually working with them and interfacing with these characters that you've seen on cards, and it's just an amazing world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're closing in on our 10 minutes. Oh my gosh, you guys! I cannot believe this.
We're actually closing at 6,000 away from 500,000.
Oh my gosh!
With 10 minutes to go.
494.
I don't want to dwell on the amount that was raised.
We have already done amazing, thanks to you all.
Yes, and it has been such a wild ride. We're going to be updating everybody quite a bit every month. We'll do an update that involves the community. Sometimes we'll have continuations of our story, and that's actually a fun thing, because I didn't realize how our campaign story, the one that was embedded in our updates, how much that would actually tie into the prequel. But we've been writing it in a way to guide you to the prequel, which then, of course, guides you into the main campaign. And so it's all just interwoven. And I think you guys, once you start the prequel, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's what happened in the, in the story. So, yeah, excited.
All going to plan.
That's when we do this with your fingers, right? Yeah, ha ha ha. What are we doing today? Taking over the world, right? Or at least
Pinky in the brain.
True.
You know what? I would definitely be Pinky. I'm sorry.
I say that to my wife often. She just said that the other day. What are we doing today? And I just want to take over the world and
try to take over the world. Yeah.
Yep. And she's like, I'm brain. I'm like, yep. Okay. So I think we're probably going to end here with any questions you guys might have before we end our campaign. Thank you so much for being here on this video with us. Thank you for showing up in this campaign and for really just spreading the joy that you have, excitement that you have. It has been a wild ride for all of us. So thank you.
Right. And Frederick, you mentioned a choose your own adventure book for adults. In all honesty, that's what I personally was aiming for when I was suggesting the composition of the campaign mode. I came from that direction. I grew up with game books. I grew up with Endless Journeys. I grew up with Joe Dever's Lone Wolf series and Ian Livingstone's game books. Fighting fantasy. I grew up with all of those. This book, this campaign that we're making, at least from my perspective and from the way I approached it, was the kind of interactive game book experience that I've always wanted. And this is, that adult choose your own adventure game, really gritty and lots of decisions that change the entire world. Love it.
One of the books that I read as a youth was a Choose Your Own Adventure that really resonated with me. And now, of course, I can't think of the name of it, here on screen. But I absolutely loved, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Should I have done this? And made this decision. And but the game that we've offered here is just such a different kind of a beast, because it's physical and on the board, and you get abilities, and your heroes are like living and breathing, and well, you might be playing an undead character and maybe they're not breathing, but most of you are. Yeah, most of you are breathing, right? So yeah, we're excited that it's going to have so many different options. How long until Mountains of Godai? Oh, good question. Mountains of Godai. Oh my goodness, you guys, we are so excited about that one. And in fact, we have a lot done already. Most of the rule book is already written. We are currently tinkering with a number of game systems. And what we've outlined on the spoiler page, let me see if I can get to there. What we've outlined.
Remember what we've already spoiled.
Yeah, well, what we've shown there is, hasn't really been updated in a while, because we've been so focused on Fall of the Ancients. But we've been making changes, and oh my goodness, there's so many cool and fun things that you guys are going to see in this. Primarily the idea that we're building in siege opponents that are a different type of opponent. We have opponents like encounters and bosses, of course. You're more familiar with that from our other games. But siege opponents are going to be a whole new thing, and they're going to be the bread and butter of this tower defense that we're building. So we're really excited that this one's going to be quite unique. Well, awesome. Before we wrap this up, James, Frank, thank you guys for being here. And Frank, thank you for being so communicative with the folks on GameFound. It's truly been a blessing, where I can focus on writing the updates, which usually takes me about 2 days to write an update, and to get all that done. So it really does help, that we have people like you, Frank, and James, been so hands-on in the story, obviously. So really cool. Very happy to be here with one another.
All right. Likewise.
It's been fun. I've enjoyed it immensely.
All right, guys. All right. So I think we are going to close up the session here. Thanks again for being here and for showing up for the campaign. We can't wait to give you these products. We can't wait to, show you the final piece when it's ready to be shown.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're all excited, but we still have a lot more work to do before that happens. So.
Yep. It's go time for us now, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's get it done.
Thank you, backers.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.